So there's something around that coming on, and now I'm hearing something about something pretty dark, but I'm hearing something about sacrifices coming through. So I think that there is something with whoever Chomsky is aligned to that has some kind of weird dark agendas around babies, and perhaps I don't know what is going on, sacrificing them in some way. So maybe there is something coming through around that right now. I don't know if that's coming to light in regards to something, but I was getting messages a couple of years ago around Transylvania. That was coming up really, really strong, that something was going on in Transylvania. And it was something that was dark, like dark rituals or things like that were going on there. And I think when you think of Transylvania, then you think of vampires, right? I think a lot of us with Eastern Europe, okay, well, like we never really, America is not schooled on customs from these other countries. And Trump comes in and, you know, he decides that we have new allies all of a sudden, and our new allies don't have the same values or ethics as our country. So he decides our new allies are Russia and North Korea, okay? And Saudi Arabia, okay? And those are our new allies. And apparently they took precedence over our real allies because their agendas did not support our allies in any way. They supported a dictatorship, a version of a neo-Nazi, regime, okay? And so we watched that happen on U.S. soil. We watched him come through and shred every one of our freaking systems. We watched him just fire people because that's, what his trademark was, And it's like, I think it's an interesting thing because when you start to align with these type of countries and you don't have an awareness of what they practice or what they do, which is pretty dark, okay? Dictatorships are, they're pretty dark. That's what he essentially invited into our soil, okay, was that same darkness. And I remember having these dreams that were really dark around Hollywood and just being like, what is going on? I had a dream of a celebrity eating a baby, which I know this is like, this TMI, okay? This might be, I might have to write TMI on the title on this one. And it was just so horrifying to me. It was so horrifying. I was like, why is a celebrity eating a baby, And it's like, this stuff is so dark. It's so dark. I mean, the dreams I had were so scary, guys. Like, with my attack, I can't even, it was like I was living in hell, like living in a virtual hell. Like, I can't even tell you. The dreams and what I smelled and what I witnessed was so vile and so dark. And they were in Hollywood. They were in Santa Monica. They weren't in Hollywood. They were in Santa Monica, my dreams. And I couldn't believe what I was witnessing and what I was a part of. I remember waking up from one of these dreams and I felt like my soul was gone. Half of my body I couldn't see out of my right eye. Half of my body. I felt like half of my body was not my body anymore. Like something was in my body. It was one of the most terrifying dreams. And I saw one of the scariest men ever in that dream. And he called my name. He called me over to him. And he was wearing a black suit and he had black boots on. And he was so scary. And they were digging graves in this dream. And I don't know why I'm sharing this right now, but maybe it's just something we need to hear. Like, something seriously dark happened on US soil. And I don't know if people know the level of the darkness and what actually happened to us. But during Trump's presidency, we had one of the worst outbreaks, pandemics of all time. And we had some of the darkest days of our lives, I think, in a lot of our lives, okay, during his time period. And many people who supported him might not have connected him to those dark times, but he was in those rooms, okay? And he was around all of those people. And I think that we're doing a huge disservice to ourselves denying what he did or what happened to the world while he was in power. And the fact that he could weaponize something as silly and piddly as a freaking wearing a mask to protect ourselves from germs sounds so crazy to me that became a form of warfare in our country to divide us. Like, who uses masks to divide a country? The level of that rhetoric is 5-year-old. It's 5-year-old level. There are some countries that wear masks all the time, whether there's a pandemic or not, just because of just the amount of people who are in a small space, on a train or on a subway or traveling because of how many germs and because they're breathing on each other. I mean, people just wear masks, just in general on planes and things like that. But to weaponize it and make somebody feel less than because they wear a mask is probably one of the lowest things you could possibly do. But for Trump, that was normal everyday business. And there was a lot of money pumping into a machine about who's wearing masks and not wearing masks. And that's just how pathetic, really, his leadership is. That's really the level of where he resides, okay? He's not a leader. He is something that is very weak. And I don't know what we're seeing or understanding, and I don't know who's waking up to the truth of who he is right now or not. But there is this level of us forgetting or not really seeing the full picture or not remembering. Because I think a lot of people don't really remember a lot of the things that happened during that presidency. But he's still on the ballot. And a lot of people don't want to live in a country where every day we have to wake up and get headlines about people attacking one another over wearing a mask. I mean, it's just not a country people would want to live in. That's not America. America's about freedom. It's not about division. It never was about division. It was about us all being able to have a slice of the pie, okay? To be able to work for ourselves, okay? To be able to make our own money. And it just feels like everything has been weaponized, even to the point of what party you're associated with. It has just become so ugly and gross. All of it doesn't even make sense anymore. And a lot of what the Republican Party believes in is something we've outgrown many, many years ago, decades ago, we have outgrown. But nobody can come above it or see above how we have outgrown it and how it's obsolete. It doesn't really matter what they believe in anymore because it's outgrown our world. We've outgrown it. We've outgrown it. The world has outgrown it. It's like it doesn't make sense in terms of what they believe in anymore. It doesn't actually physically make sense anymore unless we were to go back into the 1940s. Like, it doesn't actually make sense in 2024 what they believe in. A lot of this stuff, I don't know about the laws with bathrooms and transgender and things like that, but in the state I'm in the state of California, I believe there's a new law that has been passed where the bathrooms have to be gender neutral, okay? And so when you go to the restrooms, it says gender neutral. And to me, the thinking behind that, even that feels dinosaur. Why don't we just write neutral? Why do we have to mention gender? Just put neutral. We don't care. Who cares? You know what I mean? I don't know. Why do we even have to go there? It's like, it's none of my business what you did or did with your body. You know what I mean? It's like, and the other things that have come up is when you're applying for a job, it's asking your ethnicity. I mean, we are still profiling people. And so what happens if you say, no, you opt out of that, okay? And you don't answer that question. Don't you think that employers are like, why are they not answering that question? Why would we have the question? Why do we have to have the freaking question? Why is it there? Why does it matter? Why it should matter about my experience, right? Don't you think that's more important than figuring out what race or ethnicity I am? It's like, I don't really understand. Now, I understand in terms of, okay, certain companies have to hire a certain percentage of people, but maybe that wouldn't even be a problem if we didn't freaking try to figure out what race everybody was all the time. You know what I mean? Maybe we'd just be hiring people just based on their freaking skill set. I don't know. It just feels like everything, it just feels like we make a big deal out of things that we're not supposed to make a big deal about. And that just reminds me of that 5-year-old rhetoric again. It's like the circus rhetoric of transgender, right-wing media, man. They went hard after transgender. They were making up stuff about them. They were calling them rapists. The extremity of how they talked about them was so crazy. And it's like, then these people are listening to that and they're probably like, oh my God, they're not right. You know what I mean? Or they're thinking like that because they know nothing about it. But that's the level of the insanity that was being pumped out of right-wing radio, okay? Right-wing news. That's what they were calling them. They were calling them horrifying names, okay? Slamming them without any knowledge about what transgender actually is or means. They had no knowledge of anything about the personal journey of a person who is transgender and just how difficult that road is to walk. Nobody wants to be transgender. I can tell you that right now. From most of the stories you hear, they're not excited about it. It's not something they get up in the morning and they're like, yes, you know what I mean? That is not the case. So the fact that somebody would go after somebody like that in such a vile, dark, ugly, disgusting way to just tear apart people for no reason. No freaking reason. You have to be on such a level of ignorance, okay, to do something like that to another human. It is so disgusting. That is un-American. That is not part of America's values in any way, okay? And the people who are doing it are Christians who are in nothing but judgment of everybody, including themselves, because of the mirage of religion, the fake mirage that they're aligned to Christianity and Jesus, okay? There is nothing Jesus about that, okay? I don't think Jesus would care who anyone is, okay? It's none of anybody's business, to be honest. It is nobody's business. Nobody's business if somebody is transgender. It's none of their goddamn business, okay? And if a person who is trans wants to share their story, then that's a whole other thing. But the bullying and all of that is part of their wheel. So right now, I think it is so important that we start to rise above a lot of this behavior, this childish behavior that he freaking birthed into our country and normalized. He normalized. And it's just, it really has brought the level of the Republican Party to such a freaking adolescence, like, energy. I don't know. They look like children. They're an embarrassment. They're an embarrassment to the country. They're an embarrassment. And a lot of them think that the country supports them, when half of their numbers and elections were freaking rigged. Half of their freaking YouTubers that go out on social media, they think they have all these millions of views. They're rigged. Those algorithms, guess who owns all of those freaking apps, dude? Freaking Mark Zuckerberg, man. Like, go look at who owns all the freaking apps. Half of the freaking views are rigged. It's not an accident that all of these people who are speaking lies and don't have the right narratives have millions and millions of views, okay? They have millions of followers, millions of subscribers. It's all paid and bought, but it's a lie. It's a complete lie. Most of the country does not feel that way, okay? Most of the world does not feel that way. And we are having to now look through the money. We have to follow the money. I just did a couple of videos on the money. We have to follow the money, where they're getting the money to pay for the media, because they have made an agenda to infiltrate YouTube content creators. And there was a video going around a social media person. His name is Kyle Roth. And he does blind items, where I guess he sends out, or he puts out information in a blind item of what's going out. And one of his blind items he put out recently was about spiritual assassination. And it was something to the point of, attention, all truth tellers, okay? Social media influencers, if you continue to speak the truth, and it's threatening us. And you know what it sounds like? Russian. It sounds like Russia. It sounds like America has become Russia, and it is all fear-based, okay? We have freedom of speech in our country, and I think somebody has to let Putin know that, because he obviously wasn't informed, okay? And either was Trump, okay? Because the fact that they can go after us in a spiritual assassination for telling the truth now is insane. And I have talked about the MK Ultra programs. I have talked about what Roseanne Barr has said to Bill Maher recently in an interview, that he is a victim of one of those. Bill Maher he was an advocate and a truth teller during the Trump presidency, okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if other people are on Trump's list, okay? And that is the dead honest truth. I am one of the truth tellers. The name of my channel, Truth Warrior Healing, okay? That was the freaking channel. That was me doing all of the readings and all the videos about everything that was going on. Half of that content I was forced to delete because they weaponized my content against me to attack me with an advanced bot system, a technology system. And so it's very important that, we wake up to this. So the Kyle Roth spiritual assassination was talking about exactly what they did to me, that you would lose everything, you would lose your friends, family, you would go through essentially a time period where, you would be pretty much spiritually killed off. That's essentially what the message was. And that's exactly what they did to me. And I maybe that's why I opened with the dream that I had in Santa Monica. But it's like, this stuff is so dark and it is so real. And I feel that we have to move through the fears. Those of us who have been victims of this warfare, those of us that have been attacked. And I know a lot of people who have come forward about these truths or have openly spoken out about these truths. They suddenly just disappear, okay? They go incognito. And I don't feel that that is the message right now. I don't feel that that is what we're supposed to do. I don't feel that we're supposed to disappear and go incognito, okay? That's not my gut on this. My gut is that everyone has to take a stand. Every victim has to take a stand. Everyone has to address the truth in a way that could be so uncomfortable, okay? So uncomfortable. But if a man can make masks, okay, a freaking weapon in our country, then maybe other people in power can do something that is actually good and stand up for what happened to people. Okay, and part of those attacks is Havana syndrome, which I have addressed. It's not a syndrome. It is a moving, working technology, okay? It is a technology that goes after you. And it is led by one of Trump's top generals, Michael Flynn, who was set to go to prison, which he pardoned, okay? He pardoned Mike Flynn. And all of that is in the Mueller report, okay? And there are other people that know he's running these programs. A lot of these people who are running the programs are Trump's guys, okay? It's his men. It's Bill Barr. It's Dick Cheney, okay, which falls under a different presidency, but it's part of the same group. It's the same freaking George Bush group, okay? It's the same people. And I was just looking up Bill Barr yesterday. He's Manhattan. I didn't know he was a Manhattan native. He's New York City, born and raised. And so it makes perfect sense. What happened with Joffrey Byrne makes perfect sense. What happened with Jeffrey Epstein when he visited the prison systems. That man is Manhattan. That man knows Manhattan. He did what he had to do in Manhattan. Okay? I believe he is still a threat to this day. I believe he is still a threat on U.S. soil. He is the one who infiltrated the Mueller report. He's shut it down. I believe that there were more indictments for the children of Trump that were on the docket. There was indictments on the docket, okay, when the Mueller report got shut down. And I was reading on them and I was getting messages. It was something around, it was either Jared or Don Jr. It was one of them. There was something coming in for that. And they shut it down. That is full-blown corruption. That is an investigation into the 2016 election to prove if he even had a real election, okay? Which I don't believe he did. We have yet to have the correct information. And, I think that, I always get this thing about the secret binder. I don't know what this is with Mueller's secret binder, but it keeps coming in. There is a secret binder. Somewhere is a freaking binder somewhere. Find the binder. I don't know. There's something that came up in Discovery that's important. And look, something just flew out at me. Like, there's something in Discovery about that came up. But, this is the truth, okay? This is the God honest truth. There is something in there. Here we go. That's what's coming in around the Mueller investigation. There's some kind of like a little girl coming through here. I don't know what that would be about. Polly, the binder's in her casket. I don't know. I keep seeing a library. Around the binder, so I don't know. I don't know where the binder is. I feel like I gotta find the binder. I'm gonna be going to the lab. I'm gonna be looking at every library for his freaking binder. I'm gonna find it. I gotta find the binder. There is something that is hidden. There's more information in his Discovery, and I don't think it's not in the report itself. It's in Discovery. It didn't make it out. It's something probably more damaging. I have the sun coming in around it. There is something really big in there, and I have something about investors and banks that keeps coming up around it. It never goes away. He did not win that 2016 election. I'm almost positive he did not win that 2016 election. There was a deal that was made because I just know there is just something about it that just doesn't feel right. There's something about a red briefcase here. So I don't know if it was just bought and paid for, but he was on the freaking trail with Lavrov, one of the freaking Kremlin, in the show. What was it? The circus. So funny, I was calling this. The whole like theme of this was about them being a circus. So yeah, he's behind the scenes. There's a shot of him in one of the episodes, one of the first episodes. And who's in that show? Ted Cruz, Rubio, right? All his peeps, right? So I think right now it's like we have to really figure out what has happened. I know that Jack is still investigating a lot of stuff in regards to the insurrection, but I don't know where that's leading him, if this is leading him back to the election in any way. I don't know where it's going. But it feels like there's just unfinished business that was shut down, and there might be witnesses to this. I just saw a man come through that could be a witness to the shutdown of some stuff. I just saw a witness come through to what happened with the Mueller investigation. There might be witnesses coming through. There's an attorney coming through. There's people that know what happened. I don't know if they've been hushed up in some way by the mega mafia, but they could have been, because I have 10 of Swords coming in around witnesses to what he did. Yep, I don't know if they were hurt or killed or murdered or anything like that. I don't know. But there is something else coming in around witnesses to what he did to the Mueller investigation as well. And now I'm seeing an airplane coming through. I don't know if that's Air Force or air and something with the air. I don't know what that is. There is something coming in. We're missing information, guys, okay? That's all I'm going to say. We're missing information. 3 of Pentacles. We're missing big information, it feels like, right now. And I don't feel like it's information, like, people want this to get out. It's not like they don't want it to get out. Like, I don't get the sense that they want this secret. Like, there are people that are like, get it out now. Like, that's the energy I'm getting. They want it out. I have Hermit reverse. Like, it has to come out. Like, this is the time where the information has to unveil in some way. Because I'm thinking that there's a lot of witnesses, I think, that have been like beaten down throughout this whole thing. It's way more salacious than what we're being told. Either whatever happened there is a lot of stuff. I don't know, maybe there's fear of it getting out in some way because of the level of the content, and maybe that's why I had to go into all of the dark stuff opening this video. But it might be salacious in terms of like how dark it is. It could be in terms of what they do, because I'm hearing sacrifices coming through with the 7 of Swords. So there's things that I think there's witnesses to what Trump is a part of, and it feels dark as F. I'm not gonna lie. It feels really, really dark and fear. And now I'm hearing something like that happened in my V2K. I heard a situation going on with what I think was one of the GOP, and I heard his voice say, then sacrifice me, sacrifice me, sacrifice me. I heard him say that the other day because of something that was going on. I just think that something happened to Congress people, like congressmen. Like there's something not right. There's something not right. And I'm hearing something with the Supreme Court justices as well as part of them. So I don't know if that's the people of praise that was infiltrated. It's not the sun. So the people of praise might have been infiltrated. Now that is where one of the Supreme Court justices, Amy Berman, is from. Okay. Is that her name? No, that's not her. That's the candidate for presidency. Who is the Supreme Court justice? Amy, it's not Berman. No, that's not her. Why is she coming up? Minnesota? Is that her? Why would that come up? But there's something with the Supreme Baring, what's her name? Amy Baring? I don't know why. Don't mind me. I don't know. I got a lot of technology on my head. I have 30 systems on me right now. The Supreme Court justice, though, that is coming up. People of praise is coming through right now. Okay? So there's something with the people of praise being infiltrated in some way. Like, I have seen Putina's face in these groups through these secret societies. I've seen him around all of these people. Barrett! What did I say, Barron? Amy Barrett. I don't know, dude. I usually have her name, like, out, like, so something, obviously, I'm being blocked from saying her name for whatever reason. But there's something with the people of praise coming through right now. People of praise being infiltrated. So she was supposedly a member of that, and apparently, like, a lot of the judges are members of that. Like, a lot of justices are members. Like, I don't know, reading on it, it has, like, shown that a lot of people in power are members of the people of praise. So I know that that's a submit cult, and where the women have to submit to the men. And so I I honestly, guys, I can't handle our country right now. Like, I can't. Like, I just want to vomit. Like, I'm like, like, I'm just like, no. The more I find out, I'm just so grossed out right now. Like, I don't know, like, what the sitch is right now. I have a 5 of Wands. I just want to barf on all of it. It's a very, like, from what I've seen, they do sexual displays. When I research them, members have come forward, and a lot of members have come forward too around Bohemian Grove, saying the same thing. It's all, they're all very sexual. And it's gross. It's so gross. Like, it's so gross because there's like children and stuff that are involved in these cults and things like that. And maybe that's part of uncovering what we have to uncover, because I have the moon coming up, because that's where a lot of the trafficking and stuff agendas could be coming in, you know? So, there's like, they're not considered cults. They're considered, I don't know. I consider them a cult. I mean, but when you read on them, they're so gross. I mean, I get grossed out when I read on them. I can't really like keep it together with any of it. But I guess the information just has to get out. Again, a lot of it's not getting out. Now, the boxer, okay, Ryan Garcia, he came forward and started going public about Bohemian Grove and what really goes on with them. So he's one of the first ones, I think, to like publicly go vocal about it and call out a lot of celebrities, which I applaud him for, because that takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts because of what is at, you know, who's involved with them. Okay. But there are other reports of people who have come forward who are children of these groups, okay, children of the parents that are in the groups, and they have talked about it very candidly in interviews about what goes on, and it's very uncomfortable to read, and it is all sexual, and he had made claims about himself being raped, okay, and being a victim of rape through that secret society, and in terms of children being victims of the same thing. And his big motto is, I'm here for the children. Okay, so that could be part of the unveiling in terms of the human trafficking and the child trafficking, sex trafficking agendas could be stemming from these elite groups. And that could be what has to come to the light right now with the Hermit reversed, as uncomfortable as it might be for people. Like somebody, I don't know if they're in the headset or what, somebody just mentioned the Mormon church, but they have also been coming up. I don't know if you guys ever heard, I mean, but the jokes about the Mormon church and the school, you know, Brigham Young, I mean... I think a lot of people have kind of like known about what they were about, you know what I mean, for a long time. And so I think like we just have to, you know, address some stuff maybe, because it's going on and it's being normalized behind closed doors. And I think a lot of people who are in these religions, so to speak, groups, are trapped, and a lot of them can't get out. A lot of them are victims. Scientology is another one of them. A lot of them can't get out. Most of Scientology is separating the mothers and the parents from the children. They are kept separately. They're not even identified as children. They're thought of to be of the same soul or consciousness as adults. They're not treated, if they say they don't feel good or they have a headache or something, they have to go to like therapy for that, and then they get blamed that it's their fault, that there's something wrong with them, that they did something wrong. It's very sick. What they do to their members, it's very, very, very sick. Everything is their fault. And I believe I'm a victim of Scientology as well, because I think it's connected into this headset technology, because they are the Church of Spiritual Technology. I believe they're one of the main cults that is connected into these programs for targeted individuals. And I'm so lucky to be in the state that they freaking have probably the most hand in right now. I don't think it's like an accident that they were trying to replace writers, okay, in Hollywood with AI. I don't think that's an accident, because that's part of their agenda. I think that there's a lot of other dark agendas that are connected to these groups in terms of aliens and what they're doing to their members and things like that through rituals, to basically own them, essentially to own them. So perhaps this is some stuff that's pretty dark and ugly that has to come to the light right now, because it's coming in. I don't know. I'm just gonna honor the messages. Nobody wants to talk about it, but We have to, because it's happening on US soil and it's happening right under our eyes. It is happening right in front of us. I would say probably a lot of people that we've seen in the spotlight are probably victims of this type of trafficking, and maybe we never even knew it. Okay, like that's kind of what the level of it feels like. Because, like I said, there are reports coming in with these secret societies of kids being involved in this stuff at a very young age and what they had to do to create celebrities, to uncreate celebrities. A lot of it is sexual and it's gross. Okay, so I encourage you all to research it yourself. You can research all of the groups. There's a docuseries on Scientology that can give you more info on that. But it's important that we educate ourselves and have awareness in terms of where these agendas stem from and who's running the show, leadership in government in countries, because that's where a lot of them reside, is in these cults. And I guess this is something that maybe we have to wake up to right now. So I just want to thank you all. Wow, I didn't realize like how over time I was. I meant to only do like a half-hour video. But I just want to thank you all so much for your donations and everything. I greatly appreciate all of your support on here. I try to reach out to some of you personally if I can, to thank you. And thank you for supporting me on this targeted individual journey, which is very common for people like me, unfortunately. And just praying every day for justice and truth to prevail in our country. Sending you guys so much love and light, sending love and light protections to all leaders in our country who are working for the light, who are working to uncover this stuff right now. Also calling in courage for them, calling in courage, strength. Oh, look at you. We just said mystical. Is that feeling? Calling in courage, strength for all of those leaders to come forward, to do the right thing, to speak out against their party if they are part of this unethical operation, speaking out against them for what has happened. I believe that I am connected to the news story in Tyson's Corner with the prostitution and the congressman. I believe I'm connected to that story. I believe that the other part of it hasn't come out with the technology aspect to it, but I know it was still being investigated. I believe I am a direct victim of that story. And I'm still waiting for other things, because I know I'm a victim of other stuff that has yet to come to the light, but I'm still waiting and praying that I am vindicated, because I know that people like me, we go under nicknames. And so I have been like I've heard nicknames for me over and over again. Like I've heard nicknames like Miguel Acadi. I've heard things like just different things for me. So I could be circulating on the dark web under a nickname. I could be circulating in these groups under a certain name that wouldn't be like my real name. So it would be really hard for investigators to find me and know who I am, or to connect me to those situations. And that is something for trafficking victims, is that they don't go by their real names. It's not like you can like find them. So I feel like that's something that also we have to awaken to, is that how we're being trafficked and how we might not be connected to certain investigations at that time, but I'm around all of them. Like I've seen all of them in whatever this metaverse is that's connected to me. I've been around all of these celebrities. I have engaged in communication with them. So I think it's going to be interesting to just see how everything continues to unfold. And I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with it, but I don't know who knows what, or who, if they know who they're engaging with at that exact time, or what's really going on. But I just hope that more of my story comes to light in the next, coming months, because it's important. Because if my story doesn't come to light, that's a scary place. Like that's a scary space for our country to be in. So I'm